All right, pursuant to Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2023 as amended on March 28, 2025, this meeting will be conducted in person and as a courtesy via remote means in accordance with applicable law. Please note that while an option for remote attendance and/or participation is being provided, the meeting hearing will not be suspended or terminated if there are tech problems unless required by law. Viewers can visit us at the local scene.media/Duxbury, formerly pac-tv, and watch a video replay of this meeting on Duxbury YouTube. All righty. All right, so this evening, do we have any minutes, Linda?
I'm not sure if I had time to review them or not. Did you review?
I didn't get in. When did I get, I was out all afternoon. so
Oh, yes, probably, it was earlier today, so.
Okay.
I've been-
All right, then we'll wait till the
So,
next meeting and
I
we'll do it
think-
then.
I apologize.
No, it's fine. So why
I
don't
think we
we?
just have to stop the meeting. We're done.
No, Mary, hopeful, but no, no other announcements?
I would like to just highlight that this afternoon I sent out an email to the finance committee, the select board, and all of the town's department heads. It contained a link to a report that was compiled by the Mass Municipal Association, the MMA. And the MMA, it has undertaken a project to analyze and assess the fiscal health of communities across the Commonwealth, and they have prepared an analysis of some of the fiscal challenges and constraints that are facing communities. Duxbury is not immune to these fiscal challenges that are pervasive across the Commonwealth. This report that was released was a very good introduction to the work that they are doing in conjunction with Tufts University, and it is the first in a multi-part series of the project that they have undertaken. So I did share that with everybody. I hope that you have some time to take a look at that over the course of the next week. If anybody has any questions, I'm happy to go over it with you, but it includes some really important information about, like I said, the constraints that municipalities are facing, and some of the bigger issues such as declining state aid, and the fact that the amount of money being received or sent to communities in the Commonwealth is much lower and growing at a much lower rate than the actual state budget. And part of the MMA's results of this study is that the Commonwealth, has placed constraints on us through statute, and that they are also not sharing in the revenue growth that the Commonwealth has been seeing over the years, and that is really harming local communities and their ability to fund their budgets. So it's a very good report, and I encourage everyone to take a look at that.
I did look at it quickly, when it came in, and it was depressing.
Yes.
And also one of the 5 bullets that they mentioned was that the urban center or the big school systems, the
Gateway cities, I think is what you're
gateways,
looking for.
I've kind of forgotten that expression. Are getting more and more resources,
Mhm,
and the suburban districts are not.
correct.
We're falling behind because they assume that we don't need the help as much, and they need more help than we do. So it's a political statement, really, more than anything. So yeah, it's an interesting report.
It is very interesting.
Hopefully, it made me lead to some eye-opening changes at the state level where they're gonna see what they're doing. Going for fingers crossed.
Correct.
On a larger scale, this is a huge public relations issue because the general public doesn't understand it. We spoke about this at our last meeting.
Mhm.
Yep.
There's a perception with real estate sales going through the roof in Duxbury that we should have an abundance of money. And with the state decline on top of it all, it's confusing at best to those that actually pay attention to this stuff.
Mhm.
But it's a huge gap because we're gonna sit here in this cocoon and people out there are not going to understand why there are those gaps. And this is going to be an issue. And I'm not sure how we're gonna deal with it or how the Commonwealth's gonna deal with it.
Mhm.
But I heard 3 bulletins this day on that issue
Correct.
on the radio.
And I'm going to capitalize on the opportunity of you raising the issue about sales in the town of Duxbury. And I'm going to continue to reiterate, because I think it's an important point that a lot of folks don't understand, is
Huge
when
disconnect.
there, exactly. So when there are sales of existing properties here in the town of Duxbury and people see the selling price of those homes, there is a misperception that the town reaps a benefit from these extraordinary sale prices.
Right.
And that is absolutely not the case. When a home or an existing property sells in the community of Duxbury, the town receives absolutely no additional tax revenue from that sale of that property.
So I'm going to just interject right here because I'm hoping that somebody, the Clipper, who's very faithful about attending our meetings, picks up on this and writes about it. Because this needs to not be said once, twice, but thrice.
Mhm.
This needs to be repeated over and over and over again until people get it. And they ask the question, why not? Why aren't we getting it? And that's when we get into the necessary civics lesson of how this system works.
Correct.
And that's absent, okay? And until we acknowledge that and put that front and center, we're going to have problems because people are going to say, this is BS. We should have cash flowing in so that we can fund all the things that we need. Anyways, enough said.
No, I appreciate you raising it. We will continue to have the conversation over it.
Excuse me, Betsy,
Yes.
I'm thinking that this person that's an attendee might be JR.
Oh, maybe.
Maybe him, shall I let him in?
Sure.
He raised his hand for a bit, so I.
Yeah, let him in. Oh, I mean, there was never any reason, any call not to let them in. I was just.
No, as a
curious.
panelist, so he can chat with us. So he just says I've had there.
Is he in now?
Mhm.
JR, is that you? JR?
To unmute. There we go.
Okay, so the identifier was sales iPad, so that's why we didn't know it was you.
Yeah,
must have-
okay. All right, my computer isn't working anymore, so that I'm on a work computer.
All right,
Anyway,
great.
I'm here. And Mary, I did read that thing and it's ultra important. Like Al says, we got to just share that. The town has to know what we're going through, but I don't want to go on and on about it, but I thought it was a great piece. Thank you.
Great, okay, good to see you.
Nice
All
to be
right.
here.
All right, real good. All right, then why don't we get going with this? And Karen?
Give me 1 second.
Oh,
while I
sorry.
Call up Karen's.
Okay, great.
PowerPoint. Let me just move this out of the way. Oh, sharing the screen. That's great. There we go.
So I'm gonna start with just going into the staffing level and the organizational chart of the accounting department, the history of it, okay? So I went back as far as July 1st, 1997, because I had that readily available at my desktop to research the payroll records. And from that date, I can guarantee you there was a 4 employee staff level in the accounting department. So over 28 years ago. Then in 2000, July 1st, 2006, the town created the finance director position. It did not add staff to the accounting department. That position is to oversee the accountant, the assessor, and the treasurer collector, amongst all the many other duties we have there. So the staffing level in the accounting department remained at 4. Then July 1st of 2017, we reorganized the structure of the accounting department staff, not adding anybody, still remaining at 4. But we created the budget analyst position combine the accounts payable and accounts receivable. And we were able to do this because we decentralized invoices, meaning that departments were inputting their own invoices into the software system and reducing the amount of data entry the accounts payable person had to do. So this allowed for support to the finance director, the town accountant, and gave a level of supervision to the payroll administrative assistant and the accounts payable, increasing the task level of that position as well to support the town accountant and finance director. Sorry. Okay, July 1st, 2023. The budget analyst position was retitled to assistant town accountant, which was the proper title for that position. It then directly reported only to the town accountant to eliminate confusion, but still supported both the town accountant and the finance director and supported the other staff within the department. And July 1st, 2025. Assistant town accountant 40-hour position was ripped. This had great effects on this department. It reduced the staffing level of 25%. And in the next couple of slides, I'll go over the importance of this position. So the key duties of the assistant town accountant were cash and tax reconciliation, ensuring monthly accuracy by reconciling with the treasurer's records to safeguard town assets. Receivables management, tracked and reconciled veterans benefits and ambulance payments to secure revenue. Grant oversight, manage compliance and reimbursement processes to maximize funding. Journal entries, posted monthly revenue and expense entries. Fund monitoring, oversaw the police detail revolving fund. Payroll and AP support, provided critical backup and review to ensure accurate, timely, and compliant payments. Departmental assistance, responded to inquiries, built account structures, analyzed discrepancies, and supported with the reporting requirements of the department. Financial leadership support, assisted the town accountant and finance director with audits, reporting, and special projects. Continuity and succession, served as operational backup to town accountant and ensuring uninterrupted service. Why this role matters: it protects the town's assets through accurate reconciliations and receivable tracking. It maximizes revenue by ensuring grant compliance and timely reimbursements. Maintains accuracy and compliance by journal entries, fund oversight, and payroll AP support. Supports financial leadership, enhances capacity for audits, reporting, and strategic initiatives. Ensures continuity, critical to succession planning and operational resilience. Okay. Impact of the RIF. It has created a staffing crisis in the accounting department, plain and simple. So I'm going to read the slide. As of July 1st, 2025, the elimination of the full-time assistant town accountant position reduced the department's staffing by 25%, bringing it below pre-1997 levels. This reduction occurred despite a significant increase in workload over the past 28 years, driven by growing legal compliance requirements, increased reporting demands, and payroll complexity. The assistant town accountant played a critical role in daily operations, including the reconciliations, balancing cash, reviewing warrants, and providing payroll and AP support. With this position eliminated, the town accountant has absorbed these responsibilities in addition to their own, resulting in excessive work hours, including weekends, delayed reconciliations, slower department response times, loss of backup coverage, and severely diminishing support to the finance director. This unsustainable staffing level has led to burnout, frustration, staff working above pay grade, the collapse of the department's succession plan, and a growing risk to the town's financial integrity. In a field where municipal accounting expertise is rare and difficult to replace, The long-term consequences threaten both operation and stability and compliance. So now we're on the budget.
Can I just ask a question?
Sure.
Al, did the audit pick this up? Okay.
Anyone?
Just comments, you know, the fact, the staffing and.
So no, it wouldn't have, because the audit that was just completed
So it
was for
would be
June
for
30,
next year, it would pick it
24.
up.
Correct.
Okay.
Right, so let me sort of give you an answer that kind of reflects where the committee is. We asked about management comments,
Mhm.
and management comments could be classified in three ways. The worst being material weakness, which is a big issue.
Mhm.
The next level up is sort of a cautionary yellow flag. And then the topmost is, well, you should be reconciling more frequently. There were no management comments, which means that the folks that are doing that work are doing a great job. But unfortunately, the rules that auditors follow do not require them. There's no framework for them to report these kinds of issues about the burnout factor or what the effect is of a 25% staff reduction. And that's unfortunate, but that's the current state of the art in the CPA profession.
Well, but remember that the audit is a financial statement audit. It's
Right.
not an operational. audit.
Right, and the only reason I bring that up is so, which is what I expected as an answer.
Mhm.
That if in the future there are comments made, we need to have it very clearly indicated that this is a result of the staffing that you do not have.
This is true.
So
Right.
it's, I'm just creating a.
Yeah, no, and I completely
Let
agree
me
with
just sum
that.
this up, Betsy, by saying that the audit process, which is fine, it follows the rules.
Yep.
It's reactive, not proactive. The question you just asked is very proactive.
Right,
Do they see it or foresee it? Now, anecdotally, we could speak with the auditors and they could say, you know, it looks like Karen is carrying a lot more workload, but it doesn't find its way into a report.
and I think my point is that next year when they do 25 or 26 FY20, that they would, if there was a comment then saying that something hadn't been reviewed in a timely fashion or whatever, I want there to be a very clear
But that-
trail saying,
That,
okay, we know why that.
that would get into the management letter.
Yes,
For example, if, and Karen, I don't mean to focus on you, but let's say that there was burnout and she wasn't able to keep up and reconciliation weren't done, just to pick something, which is very unlikely. But that would result in a management letter comment. And then there would be a measure of what is the severity of that. And yes, you would see it in the
right.
management.
I just want to set the stage that if that indeed, in the unlikely event that that happened, we've classified at this date that it would not be surprising and or unexpected.
Okay, but I just want to show you as of today.
No, this is-
No, I want to say though, for the record.
Yeah.
You know, I'm putting in the hours necessary, Mary's putting in the excessive hours as necessary.
Yeah,
My-
Karen and I are tired of seeing each other on Saturdays and
Yeah.
Sundays at work.
Yeah,
My staff is outstanding. They don't take a lunch break, they are really stepping up to get us through this, but that
Right.
doesn't diminish the fact that this can't keep going.
right. I
Yeah.
absolutely hear
Okay.
you. Yeah, so that was no slam at you. I'm just
No,
trying
no.
to.
I just wanted for the record,
Yeah.
we're doing the work, but it's called,
There's an
taking
impact.
a
But
toll.
you said there are delays in the reconciliations
Well,
as a
Well,
result
so,
of just
I-
not having the staff.
I can speak for Mary and I, we're both perfectionists.
Mhm.
And I like to get things done before they're due,
Right.
not scrambling when they're due
Right.
to get it done.
Mhm.
And we don't have that capacity anymore, and it creates a lot of anxiety and
Mhm.
stress.
Yep.
And then if there is something that needs to be fixed, because it happens daily, there's
Sure,
entries that need to be made. We're doing them after the fact instead of being proactive and seeing these things before they're happening. And that can all be avoided with staff. But,
Well, especially if you're on the edge and you have someone out sick or you have a
we're
vacation day.
done. If
Yeah.
payroll is out sick, I have to do payroll.
Which means nothing else gets done.
Yeah, year end, we had the RIF. I had my accounts payable person, leave. We have a new person, she's outstanding, however, we were without, it was just me and the payroll person doing all the year end warrants, I couldn't do a thing of my own work.
Mhm.
So that was falling behind, because we had to do the critical work at that moment. We don't have backup, we don't have the coverage.
And I would. I mean, I've known you for years. You don't complain, right? You're not going to start complaining. Because it's suffering in silence, it sounds as though you're being.
This is the complaint, right?
Right, that's what and I'm trying to get it out, I'm doing the best thing. So if indeed these points are not brought forward to the select board and to the community, the assumption is, hey, it happened, it's fine.
Mhm.
And that can't go on. And I think that that was part of the conversation last year. It's like, what do you mean there's gonna be a problem? There's no problem.
Mhm.
We don't need to suffer in silence. You need to explain to people, this is what's going on and this is the repercussions of this. It will not reflect on your talents and ability. It will only reflect on the situation that exists today.
This is a large and complex organization. The volume of transactions that we process on a daily, weekly, monthly basis continues to grow at an exponential pace. And I think Karen has clearly articulated that reduction in force that we incurred and suffered from the FY 26 budget has ramifications on this department. We are feeling it uniquely. I know there has, been sort of debate about town hall being closed on Fridays. This department benefits greatly from that reduced traffic flow in that building in order to catch our breath and try to get caught up on some things. But the loss of this position has eliminated the backup support that department needs. The one thing that we cannot miss is payroll. There hands
No,
down, it
obviously
is the
not, yeah.
number one priority. And so if the payroll resource is on vacation or out sick, everything else stops so that all hands are on deck in order to process payroll because there is no existing backup in that department anymore to assist with that. So there are certainly ramifications that have been happening that are rippling throughout the finance department.
Is the current payroll software adequate to the task?
There are some limitations for sure with the existing payroll product. My understanding is that we implemented this product in order during COVID in order to be able to have remote access
Yep.
and be able to process payroll. But there are limitations to that system that we face on a daily basis. We have been actively reviewing other products in the space and in order to address some deficiencies in some of our data collection and reporting capabilities. And we're evaluating different packages right now before we bring a capital request forward.
Okay.
Bren?
I think the presentation that fails to demonstrate the true impact because it doesn't show 25. If you look quickly at 26 and 27 for the salary line, it doesn't reflect the loss of the person in a position. It shows it's down like $6,000 rather than the 70,000. Yeah, because the 26 budget already had baked into it a loss of that position because of the failed override. What was the 25 salary number?
It would have been just about $70,000 more than that. Give or take. I don't have it.
I can tell you. in 1 second.
Mary, what's the difference between adopted budget and budgeted?
You want adopted budget.
That was, the adopted budget was the aid budget from last year, right?
Adopted was yes.
So the adopted budget for salaries was 391 versus 352.
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought I was sharing the screen. Let me share the screen. So they, can I make that bigger? Can you guys all see this? Okay, so this was the FY 25 budget.
Hmm.
See that, Fred? 410,798.
Sorry, did you?
410,798, $410,798.
Thank you. So that would, if you then go to the budget 5B, you're suggesting 419,934, so it's up like just 9,000 over since 25,
Correct,
which is a modest increase over 3 fiscal years.
correct.
All right, thank you. I think that's more impactful.
We-
People keep saying that, well, no one was really cut and nothing was really lost, and this proves that it was, and it is, and it has an impact.
Correct.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, so the budget request. So I have columns for FY 27 5A, 5B, and 5A and 5B combined. So 5A has several increases in a few of the account expense lines, and this is due to increase in costs. And that gets explained on the next slide, I believe. The justification of it. So for 5A, the increases only are to remain doing the things we do now. Are, the same expenses, it's just the increase in costs. Plus the 5,000 in other professional technical services, that is for the necessity of obtaining consulting services to help us with reporting requirements and so forth. And then FY 27 5B, you'll see the ask is for the $70,000, which is on the lower side of that grade level for the assistant town accountant. And then the totals for 5A and 5B at the end.
Sorry, Karen, on the 5318, what was the 5,000 for again?
As for outside consulting services to help our DOR reporting requirements and so
Oh,
forth.
okay. Thank you.
Mhm.
So the only difference between A and B the coming years is that they're just getting that decision fulfilled.
Yes,
Everything else is
very much.
in your A budget. Okay,
Is that person still available?
No. But we have qualified people in the department.
And then they would have,
Yes, but that's easier.
okay, so, okay, I got it.
Mhm. So, okay. So the next slide is just a justification of the expense line increases.
They're de minimis, aren't they?
Yeah, they really
pretty
are.
much.
So, but I did put a justification. It's mileage, conference cost,
Well, the one that
dues.
always worries me, because, I'm like a broken record, is the decrease in training and education.
Mhm.
What's that about?
I didn't decrease that.
Am I looking at something? FY 27 in progress?
No, training and educational program. It
Yeah,
was,
that was still in there.
yeah, it was 3,026. It's 4,350.
Okay,
So that's just the cost of things going up. The conference cost and so conference attendance for us is essential for maintaining and obtaining professional certifications, staying current with changes in municipal law, mass general law, and Gatsby requirements, and enhancing the staff knowledge to ensure compliance across all the financial functions.
got it.
Okay. And that's it in a nutshell.
So that includes A and B combined?
Yes,
Okay,
so I have that last column is A and B combined on the budget.
so if indeed an override did not prevail, what are you looking at in just A?
Well, just A is no additional staff.
So
It's-
no changes
it's No
whatsoever,
change.
right? But anything else that's being lost,
No, we're not losing.
there's nothing to lose, but,
There is nothing to cut.
yeah,
It'd
okay,
be a 1.62 increase, which is
right.
stay current.
I just don't want to combine them all so that it gets lost in the equation of the challenges that will increase for next year. Any questions?
I have no further questions. So.
Very good.
Ash, no, I'll send. Al?
Hey, just a minute.
And I have a quick question that
Oh, yes.
if if we get the 70 for the extra, or not the extra person, the replacement person, do we still need the 5 for the reporting?
Oh, but
Yeah.
the increase in our reporting requirements has grown exponentially. You want to answer that, Mary?
No,
Okay.
it would require that additional service.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, going to assessment?
You want to do the audit?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, Karen has another department. I apologize.
She'll happily give it up. You want it back? Sure. No worry.
Okay, so the audit. We are requesting in the FY 27 5A budget, $60,000. It's an increase of $5,000 for additional auditing services and costs. We have some other expenses, the reporting expense and so forth, we need to pay out of there. The audit services may go through an RFP process, and therefore we don't even have a definitive cost for FY 27 at this point.
So an increase of what?
It's 5,000.
5,000 extra?
Yes.
And do you plan on doing an RFP or?
What we have not decided at this point.
Okay, that's fair. Al, anything on that?
No, I think that it's unknown. And but just to make sure that we've got a firm balance. My understanding, our understanding on audit committee is that we're in the 1-year extension.
Correct.
And when we had our committee meeting with Mary and Karen and others, there was a discussion about where we go from here. And that certainly was not defined, so I think it's prudent to put that additional funding in there, because if we do go out, we don't know what the results are. Mary made a very good point, and so Karen, that at this particular time in calendar 2025, there are fewer CPA firms specializing in the muni area. And as a result, that means usually that the fees are not as competitive. So I think it is prudent to include something, but what that something is, I have no feel for it.
Okay. Great. Chin up, press on. Okay, Scott?
Have you, before we get
Hi.
started,
Madam Chairman.
yeah, exactly.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Scott Timothy. I'm the new Director of Assessing. I've taken over Steve Dunn. I've been with the town of Duxbury for just about 7 years now. Started as an assistant and now I'm the director. So I met Chuck the other day. So office door is always open. I'm a phone call away. If you have any questions, and I'll do the very best I can to answer any questions you have. So, and yes, I can spin a lot of plates at once. There is no 5B budget for assessing. We, at one point, up until last year, we had 3.5 people. The half person worked 19 hours a week. And we've just been able to pull that job in. And as I said to Mary a couple of weeks back, we've kind of learned how to do more with less. The Fridays do help. The Fridays do help to get us caught up. But we have a couple of people in our office, and I'd just like to call them out if you don't mind. Sue Libby has been here with us. She had 2 stints. I think she started back in the early 90s and had some time off when she had children. And now she's joined us again, and I believe she came back in 2020. Sue is an absolute crackerjack. She is so willing to pick up, learn, and her learning curve is just so fast. It's unbelievable. So we just hired a new assistant assessor to replace me. And he's well on his way. He's well on his way. So I think right now with the 3 FTEs we have, we're making it work. We're making it work.
If I could just point out that part-time position that was a reduction in force from the assessor's office, although that position was based out of the assessing office, it was a shared position between the assessor and the treasurer. So there's been an impact from the reduction in force on all 3 of the offices of the finance department. As Karen articulated, they lost a full-time 40-hour week position in the accounting office, but this 19-hour position was shared seasonally between the assessor's office and the treasurer's office. This person filled in to cover the counter when we opened up for sticker sales for the beach and for the transfer station, and in order to address the line that sort of curls outside the door. So there has been an impact, but these offices have been able to absorb the workload, and for budgetary purposes, we are not requesting to reinstate that position in the 5B budget.
And what were the responsibilities within your department?
Strictly boat excise tax, which I can put once a year. She would handle, customer service, somebody who comes to the counter.
Sure.
Could be a multitude of different questions that come up. Especially around abatement season, which is January and, in February as well, so booking appointments for us. But again, there's no reason why I can't book my own appointments. Same thing with Brian, the assistant, and Sue as well. I mean, Sue is very, very good. I've never seen anybody, multitask like Miss Newman. Never seen anybody do it. And I've been in the workforce for a long time. So we're very, very lucky to have her.
Great, that's super, thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Just looking through here, so that
Okay, so do you want
So on to the 5A budget. Very first piece, our biggest line items, as you can imagine, is salaries and wages. The biggest delta there in this line is due to the assessor's pay rate. And the previous versus the previous assessor, and the difference in pay rate from the assistant assessor when compared to the new assistant assessor that we just hired. So that reduction in salary is roughly about $9,900 annually. Unless anybody has any questions there, moving along, there was an increase in the mileage stipend. And that's basically just using your own vehicle to do cyclicals, building inspections, sales inspections. The third item, the bookbinding. Bookbinding, we have to, by law, keep our commitment books for quite a long time. So what we've done in the past is we've actually bound them like an actual book. So it's not a tremendous amount of money, but every little bit helps. So we'd save ourselves $320 on that line. And all we're gonna do is basically, instead of binding the books, put them in 3-ring bound binders. And we're gonna actually have a PDF of those commitments stored on our computer. And that meets the DOR guidelines. So here's a quick $320 savings right there. The next item is consulting services. We are using KRT, which is an outside company. And they're very good as far as looking at sales analysis, sales analyses, sales ratios, and they also do a lot of the recalibration of our cost data and updating our building cost tables. It's just an assistance. And they also help out with the interim year adjustments, which we're right in the throes of doing right now.
Do they do this not every year, but periodically? Is that why there was nothing last year?
There was nothing last year because it was Steve and I. And Steve had been here 14 years. So he knew the town like the back of his hand. There's a lot of things that we needed to look at. And with Brian, our new assistant assessor coming on board, he's so new to the town of Duxbury. It's gonna take a little while for him to get acclimated to the town.
Scott, if you could, because this would help me and perhaps all of us. If you could give us just a simple example of the kinds of things that the consulting firm would provide for you. To kind of walk through a simple example.
Sure. Setting land values by neighborhoods.
Okay,
It sounds easy. It is incredibly difficult, and it gets harder the closer you get to the water. Because not only each neighborhood has its own neighborhood value, has a unit cost associated with that neighborhood. On top of that, that gets factored exponentially over and above that unit cost for water view, waterfront view. And when I say factored, some of these factors, which I'm sure you've heard of in some of the meetings. These numbers are big numbers when you live on the water, very big numbers. So these people are very good at dealing with like waterfront communities, commercial. My license is basically residential. Duxbury doesn't have a whole lot of commercial base, very little commercial base. But the commercial base that we have, these people are really good from a commercial perspective of being able to value things. When it comes to commercial, you have to know interest rates, you have to know vacancy rates, you have to know cap rates. And if you don't do that all the time, I can guarantee you're gonna spend a lot of time at the appellate tax board. And that's not what we wanna be known for. The appellate tax.
Is the entire town broken into neighborhoods?
Yes.
Subsections and precincts, apparently.
No, they're basically, they're neighborhoods. We just refer to them as neighborhoods.
How many would you estimate they would, for classification purposes?
How many neighborhoods?
100?
Oh, God, no. 13 neighborhoods?
Oh, 13.
Yeah.
Okay.
And how are they qualified?
What do you mean qualified?
Well, I mean, as you say, meetings and whatever, and sometimes people will say, well, I don't know why I'm in this neighborhood. My next door neighbor is in a different neighborhood. It's the same, we're but
Betsy, that's a great question. That's where you get yourself into a real jam.
yes,
Into a
you
real
can.
jam. Absolutely. You can't have, let's say I live next to you. And I'm in neighborhood 10, but you're in neighborhood 9, and you and I have the exact same house.
Mhm.
Cape for cape, nothing more, nothing less. But your value is higher than mine because I'm in a different neighborhood. You can't explain that. You cannot explain that. So what you try to do is you try to find that break point, that delineating mark that separates the neighborhoods. Perfect example, Marshall Street several years ago. We had this very problem where we had two neighborhoods and that very thing happened.
Mhm.
And it was very difficult when somebody came in for an abatement, that they would say, well, my assessment's higher than the person right 3 doors down. And it's the same house. And Steve and I put our heads together and we were like, all right, we have to just relist this entire neighborhood, which basically means you go to the neighborhoods. Now, it just so happened, Marshall Street is very expensive, especially when you're on the water.
Mhm.
When you have a situation like that, when you relist, you're looking at a multitude of things. Does the property have water access? Sometimes they do, and it specifies it in the deed. And that means when you relist a street like that or a neighborhood like that, you're reading a lot of deeds, looking for that easement access.
Mhm.
So what we decided to do there was we moved one of the neighborhoods all the way back to where the bridge is on Marshall Street. That was the break point. You have to have a break point,
Mhm.
and that was the break point between the two neighborhoods.
Oh,
So
awesome.
I think we're going down a rabbit hole here.
No, I have one more, question. How often do they do it? How often do they redo the neighborhoods or look at the neighborhoods?
We look at the neighborhoods every year.
That was one question.
Just one additional point, I want to thank you for that example because you just made me aware of something that I think is very important. And that is avoidance of appellate tax board
Yeah.
decisions that have adverse consequences.
Sure.
So what I'm thinking about is the budget request versus the potential. If we don't have this additional support, the adverse consequences for us on the payout could far exceed the budget request.
Sure.
Absolutely.
And in any of these departments, I
Right,
mean,
so-
there will be a consequence.
Yeah, so I mean, and again, this is one of those things that is in the weeds that does need to be discussed.
Right,
Thank you.
Anytime,
Yep.
anytime. The next item here is consulting services.
No, we just did that.
we just
So
did
did-
that. We beat that one to death. honey.
Yeah, here we go.
Training.
Training, thank you. Training went down, it was actually just went down $100. And all training is, it's continuing education. I have what they called a MAA, which is a Massachusetts Accredited Assessor from the state. It's a job requirement. And any assessor or assistant assessor should actually have that designation, and our new assistant assessor has met all the criteria. So he'll be receiving that MAA designation very shortly. The next one is near and dear to my heart. And it went up $665. This is hardware, software. This is the near map aerial mapping system that we have. I know Chuck had asked me some questions on this the other day. It's an aerial mapping system where we can see every single property in this town. And we get flyovers of the town 3 times a year. So I have an aerial top-down view of your house. I can see anything on your property, including pools. I can see generators. I can see central air systems. If I want to see the shot of the house, I can actually take it where I'm actually looking at your house from the street at your front door. Not only that, but there are a lot of properties in Duxbury that we do not get on or get in. Their map is not going to get us in the house, but what it will do is it will allow us, if we can't put a laser on the house to measure it, it's a requirement by the Department of Revenue. I can aerially measure your house from the aircraft. So it's done 3 times a year. So, that initially was, I believe it came in at 8250. And it's now going up to 8900, which is an increase of roughly 8%. But I will tell you, our very first year, when this came into inception, we increased our overall assessment by this near map tool by almost $4.4 million in assessed value, which basically equates to $44,000 in increased tax revenue.
We were gonna be sharing this information with like conservation and
The building
planning, whatever, if there were
They already
municipal
use it.
services.
They-
That's important.
They already use it.
They are using it
Great,
extensively for zoning and enforcement.
perfect. Just, I knew that,
It is
but
paid
I
back.
wanted it to be said.
It has paid for itself multiple times over.
Any questions?
No,
Okay. Our next item, it only went up $30, and all it is printing maps. We have, I don't know whether you've ever been to the assessors counter, but the maps that are on the actual counter itself, where it will show all the properties in the town, just the actual parcel pieces. It's not gonna show you the house. It's just gonna give you a map of the dimensions of your parcel. And it's also gonna include the maintenance, the building edits, and, it's just something that we need to do.
The field card, right?
It's not the field card. These are actual maps, parcel maps.
Based on the deed or,
You know how every parcel has an identifier, map, block and lot?
yeah,
It's the map.
Right.
oh, okay, all right,
That
thank you.
shows, yeah, it's probably cross-section the community, every community has to do it.
Postage. Postage went up $133. Basically, we send out roughly about 500 postcards per year to be in compliance with our cyclical and cyclical inspections and sales inspections. So it's just another DOR requirement. So
DOR makes you mail it.
yeah, and in some cases, we have to just, if we don't get a response. Well, you know. As far as advertising is the next one. Advertising, we basically stayed the same. I mean, it's $100 a year. And what that references is the Board of Assessors wants to do disclosure of our upcoming values on an annual basis. Normally, on the recertification years, which is every 5 years with the state, that's when you do your disclosure. But in this town, they do it every year. So everybody will get the proposed values well in advance. As a matter of fact, the proposed values will be coming out, I believe, on October 20th to the 24th. There'll be books that'll be here at the library and on the assessors counter. So.
Good.
Okay. Office supplies, again, it went up $50, but again, that's just the cost of running that office, you know, with the needs that we have as far as supplies. Subscriptions, okay, the subscriptions increased from 1,100 to 1,200 over the prior year. And all the subscriptions is MLS, which you have the full-blown version of MLS. CoreLogic building cost updates, these are the manuals that basically tell us how long and how much it's gonna cost to replace, you know, a structure. Realty rates are nothing more than investor and developer market surveys, particularly handy for when you're doing commercial valuations. And just our Duxbury Clipper subscription as well. Uniforms, again, we all both Brian and I always go out on the road, and we have the emblem Duxbury Assessing Office. It's the seal. It's the seal from the town. So, you know, we have to have the professional appearance, and that's what we do. So that's what that refers to. The recertification, that is, RRC. They're personal property consultants. We do not do the personal property valuations in-house. You have to specialize in valuations of personal property. And this is exactly what this company does, and they're excellent at what they do.
And it's very common across communities,
Oh, yes.
for that to be outsourced, and that's exactly what we do.
All
The
right,
rest of them just look like reductions.
yeah, they are. They are.
Very good.
Any questions?
Pretty thorough.
Just
Thank you
to
very much.
highlight, the overall assessing budget is a net reduction from FY 26 to FY 27.
Okay. And I would assume that is to the loss of the 19 hours and change in employment.
Correct.
Okay,
Thank you.
Anything?
do you have a question, JR?
No, I'm just saying it's good.
All right, they teed it up for you, Cor.
All right.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Corey Lyden. I'm the town's treasurer collector. My team is comprised of 5 full-time staff and 1 seasonal part-time employee who helps out with beach and transfer station sales. While we did not have an impact with a RIF last year, in order to maintain the services that you've known to come and love and maintain the in-house services for beach stickers, we are keeping the levels level stacked. So some of the responsibilities of our office include the billing and collection of tax bills, receipt disbursement, reconciliation and investment of all town funds, and maintaining debt service and our tax title portfolio. Our office is the point of sale for beach and transfer station stickers, mooring permits, and horseback riding permits. In your packet, you can find a comprehensive list of the additional responsibilities of our office on page 2.
Did everybody get a packet?
Yep.
Yeah.
And then, so there is also a slide for each expense line item. However, I'm only going to highlight the 2 expenses of most value. These expenses are printing, an increase of 7,800, and postage, an increase of 4,000. The requests you see reflects the true costs associated with those expenses. Printing and postage have both been underfunded in past years. In FY 25, $8,000 was budgeted, but the actual cost was over 14,000. Postage in FY 25 exceeded its budget by approximately 2,000, and there are anticipated increases in postage in FY 27.
So you trued it up.
And basically, yes.
Okay.
And just to give you a breakdown of what the postage and printing expenses include, and there is a detailed breakdown in the packet as well. These expenses include the printing and mailing of tax bills, which is very important. It needs to be done. Sticker stock for beach stickers, transfer station stickers, and moorings. The mailing for the fulfillment of sticker orders. The mailing of vendor and payroll checks. Envelopes, general mailings, and tax forms. And that's really, those were the 2 line items. But if you have any other questions, I'm happy to answer them.
We had a slightly different process with the stickers. Did that
Yes.
help, hurt, neutral?
I would say neutral. It did help the professional services line, which is inclusive of City Hall Systems, which is our fulfillment center.
Mhm.
Those costs went down to realize the increase in cost of about 3% for Harper's payroll services, which also comes out of that.
But as far as impact to your department and your staff, no better, no worse.
I would say it was an adjustment because the time at the counter is longer. But the savings and costs kind of offset it. And now that we've gone through a season, I think next season will be smoother the whole way.
Okay, thank you.
Just so you guys are aware with respect to stickers, one of the things that we are actively looking at is investigating a kiosk option. To see if there are companies that provide the availability for us to have a self-service kiosk out in the back of town hall. So that people could have potentially come to the kiosk and either pay their own tax bill right there when town hall's not open. Or purchase a beach sticker and potentially be able to receive that beach sticker from the kiosk. So we're looking at some options to provide a little bit more self-service. That's not to say that we don't offer some self-service options right now. People can certainly go onto the town's website and through our online services, be able to pay their tax bills directly. But sometimes people like to come to town hall. And if we are not open or we're closed on Fridays and they're not aware of it, we're trying to find some options to be able to utilize technology for people to be able to handle their own self-service transactions.
If the day that taxes are due falls on a Friday, are we gonna give a grace for the interest charge for the bill being late? Or do we change the due date? How do we manage to do that?
So we would prefer that people pay their bills on time online. And that is the most efficient method for us. It reduces waits at the counter. And allows us to process those transactions electronically and reduce counter time. But if people are unable to pay online, then and if a due date is on a Friday, we have given a grace period, a 1-day grace period for the interest charge.
So they can come on the next business day that it's open. Yeah.
We would prefer they either leave.
No, I'm
their payment
hearing
in
you.
the box behind town hall
I'm picking up what you're putting down.
online.
But
I mean,
it's a question that might come up and now I know the answer, that's all.
it is, but you know, we have, Corey, what is the percentage of payments that come across the counter?
I know beach sticker sales, transfer station sales, I just did that today, was 65% in person.
What, 65% what?
In person
Uh-huh.
versus online sales.
And we would encourage people to take advantage of the online options that are available. That's a really high percentage.
With the leased vehicle, you have no choice.
There's a lot of
For
paperwork.
motor excise, yeah.
Yeah, well, no, I mean, when you go get the sticker, there is a lot of paperwork that goes with. So if someone doesn't have a scanner, then they can't do it.
It's
Well,
only
if
that
it's-
first year.
If it's registered in Duxbury, we actually have a verification process that it goes through and it doesn't get flagged. So like, Fred said that, the registration, if it is a lease, we would need that uploaded, but if it's, a car registered in Duxbury, there's a back-end verification process that links your car to Duxbury
So you don't have to bring down all the stuff that people had to bring down
years ago.
previously.
Correct.
Getting back to the kiosk idea is, we were talking about how any additional things being brought in, how many more permits are coming in during the
Mhm.
off season because of the birds,
Mhm.
because of the owls.
Mhm.
I mean, that's
Yeah,
that can help pay for that kiosk.
and that, if you remember us talking about that last year, there were people, on wanting to come for the weekend.
Exactly. Right.
And they were calling the office to find out if somebody was going to be there because folks were getting off planes and driving to Duxbury.
Right.
In order to go see the snowy owls, and they needed a permit to
Yeah.
do so, to park out there for the weekend hours, and they were, sliding into town hall at the last moment.
Well, there's a pretty
in order-
substantial amount of
There,
stickers.
there
too.
was, yeah, there was certainly, we took in about $37,000 in additional revenue.
Yeah, an additional just over 200.
I'm sorry, what?
I'm sorry, a little bit over 200 additional, overseeing permits were sold.
Mhm.
And you charge them for the year.
There's a seasonal half price after October 15th.
Okay,
So, we've talked about different alternatives in order to sort of streamline the beach sticker process, and there are other beaches in the Commonwealth that allow oversand access, and they utilize systems that that we are not able to take advantage of. There are, down at Nauset, for example, they have a gate system, so people who can purchase their, access to the beach online. And the Nauset system uses a license plate optical recognition system, and so there is a gate, it's gated access. And as a license plate for a properly permitted vehicle approaches that gate, it's scanned and it's recognized, and the gate opens and allows the vehicle to access the property. Problem for us is twofold. Number one, a large number of license plates cross that back road that are not accessing the oversand access. They're accessing Saquosh and Gurnett. And so we don't have the ability to stop with a gate system and recognize those license plate numbers. But more importantly, there's no electricity at the guard shack. And these systems require some sort of electricity, and solar is not always a 100% reliable option in order to operate the optical scanners and the gate access system. So because our property is unique in that it's shared with other purposes, other, access means, we're not able to.
Municipalities, if you will.
Perhaps, yes, we're not able to implement some of the other systems that are available in other communities. So that's why we're looking at other beach options, other options for stickers. The other thing too is that the sticker provides a visual cue for our beach rangers as they're driving down the beach, and they can easily scan the vehicles to make sure that they're seeing stickers on the window. And the same with the parking lot. They're able to visually scan which cars are parked there without a sticker in order to administer a ticket for a parking violation. So we're trying to evaluate what options are available for us to try to make this system a little bit more efficient. We'll keep you posted as we progress through that.
We're gonna be going up in the fee, or are they investigating that fee?
I think that will eventually be brought before the fiscal advisory committee as well as the select board.
For next year? Okay,
All right.
any other questions?
No, nice presentation, plenty of detail here to back up. All the numbers. Thank you.
Okay, Mike?
Just a quick question. When we had those overcharges on the printing and postage, how did we pay for that?
Reserve fund transfer.
Okay. That's all. Thank you.
All right, Cory has one more budget.
So this should be short and simple. So this is tax title budget. I am asking for $1,000 increase to legal services. Last November 1st, 2024, Massachusetts implemented significant changes to its tax title laws under Chapter 140 of the Acts of 2024. The impacts of these changes may result in a slight increase in the need to contact a tax attorney. So like the appellate board, just be proactive to avoid any issues going forward.
What are some of the changes, Cor?
Do you want to know?
No, but just, hi.
Tyler versus Hennepin was a court case. Was it in Minneapolis? I can't remember the state that it happened in, but essentially there's significant changes to the tax title regulations that we are now subject to. Prior to this recent change, it was a Supreme Court decision. Prior to this change, if a property was delinquent in their tax payments, we then move them into what's called tax title, where we place a lien on the property, and the property's delinquent taxes now would go into a higher interest rate at 16% instead of 14%. And so we would accrue interest at 16 as a disincentive for this property to remain delinquent. And so the town is protected by the lien that's recorded at the registry. If that property continues to be delinquent and does not settle the tax obligation with the community, then we have the right to proceed to foreclosure. And in foreclosure proceedings, if the town acquires a property, then we had acquired the full interest in the property. We could then bring that property to auction and settle up where the town's tax obligation would be satisfied, and the any additional equity in the property, that the town would be able to retain that. The law has now changed, and that is no longer the case. The Supreme Court decision says that the town would still advance through the same process. If property is delinquent, we record a lien and place it in tax title, but the interest rate is no longer at 16%, it's now at 8%. And the town is now, town now has the responsibility of adjudicating the foreclosure and subsequent sale of that property, but the proceeds above the tax obligation is to be returned to the property owner.
What
So
about
there-
the lien or the mortgage?
So it gets returned to, we don't.
Whoever owes, whatever the sequence of liens are.
Exactly, but
Okay.
our lien is preferred.
Yep.
We have first position, so we would recover the proceeds that were owed to the town, which includes the delinquent taxes, any legal fees, and any costs of bringing the property to auction. But the residual proceeds would need to be returned to the next person in line, on that property. So what it does is it shifts an incredible burden over to the community, to now process that tax taking, and the residual proceeds are no longer the property of the community.
Sure.
So there's been some very significant changes, in this law that we are now subject to, and as a result, it requires additional legal services, consulting with our specialized tax title attorney. And we incur additional costs for the advertisement. We now had to hire a constable in order to place the placards at the property where the taking is happening, and that was not a requirement of the law before. So there's been some substantial changes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Quick question. You refer to the Supreme Court. Are you referring to the Supreme Judicial Court of Massachusetts?
No, federal.
Federal?
It was another state where
Another state.
that
Okay.
started this
And
whole
when
brouhaha.
was that decision issued?
Last year, about 18 months ago,
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's pretty well documented.
Tyler
of
B.
the-
Hennepin.
Yeah, I'd like to read
I think it
this.
really started not with so much municipalities, but with lenders that were loaning to own, as the expression goes.
Mhm.
They foreclose
Right.
and they would keep all the equity.
Mary, if it's not too much trouble, if you could just send me the citation so I can just look up the case and the
Yes,
decision.
Tyler B. Hennepin.
Say again?
Tyler B. Hennepin.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Okay. Any questions on that?
Thank you so much. That was
So all three of you did a great
Yep.
job.
pretty
Explaining
straightforward.
Budgets.
Again,
that kind
I
of stuff.
yeah, I just can't say enough. You've got to be, you all come in and you just present and say, yep, we can do it. But we need to really be communicating with the public as to the implications of what this means. And, you know, we won't get sick of hearing from you. It's fine.
Karen will come back next week and the week after.
Yeah, warmed up now, I'm good.
But, you know, I mean,
I think that the difficult part, painful part, the things the town has to be grateful for. Is you're not letting things slip through the cracks. You're coming in Saturdays and Sundays and working longer hours and longer days. To do the work that more people were doing. And you need those resources back. Because that can't go on, and if anything should happen to some of our key players. The next person in line is not gonna want that job. They have to come in Saturdays and Sundays.
right,
So we've got to make sure this round we fix it. So.
Yeah. exactly right.
I appreciate your 2 cents.
Excellent. I think that's all that we had on the.
Chuck, did you have anything else?
Nope, they
All
did a
set?
great job.
JR, you all set?
I'm good, thank you.
A reserve fund request is on the agenda, so nothing there.
No, we keep that as a placeholder in case something
Yeah.
comes up and I
Fine
forget
with
to
me.
have it put on the agenda.
Motion to adjourn?
Right,
Oh,
we're
wait,
meeting,
I'm sorry. I just want to give you a heads up. I met with some of the DPW departments today, and what we had agreed on or hoping to do is just switch the dates of when some of the DPW departments are coming in before you so that we can consolidate better. So I'm gonna look at the calendar tomorrow, and I will send out an email to let you guys know which ones were swapped around.
Okay,
Okay,
We have
It stands
people
now, we have meetings next Tuesday and Thursday.
Tuesday and Thursday.
Correct.
Yeah.
all right, cool, cool.
correct. You won't-
Everybody
you
all
won't get a
set
break
on
for a little
with
while.
all of their departments and
Yep.
everybody in good shape on
We're
that?
done our
Yeah.
schedule.
I want to thank Fred for organizing that ClearGov training that occurred, was it this week or last week?
Last week.
Last week.
Right.
That's what it was. And, I thought that was great that you did that, so thank you very, very much. I just want to check in with everybody to see if you're feeling a little bit more comfortable navigating ClearGov and getting the data that you need. Or if there's anything you need to- I'm sorry,
I still have trouble printing.
printing.
Yeah.
Still the link that's missing for a lot of
Okay,
us.
so we were gonna take a look, when we finish up here, I'm gonna take a look at your computer to
Okay.
see why you're not getting that output and see if we can't troubleshoot that for you. And it might be the same issue that you're having on your computer too, Chuck.
Yeah, my computer's, yeah.
Okay, so let's look at that reporting issue,
Okay.
momentarily.
All right. Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
Great, yeah, you have both your turn,
Oh. Adjourn.
yeah, thank you.
Say aye.
And,
JRI.
Chuck,
Bye.
yep.
Thank you,
Alan,
guys.
say aye.
JRI. Yep.
All set. Thank you.
Good night.
Everybody. See you soon.